to the 2025 Street Parking Vault. It's week 6 and the workout is DILONG. Your Program A version of this workout is 5 rounds. Each round is on a 2-minute clock where you'll start with 20 box jumps, then perform 20 dumbbell push press. And with the remainder of time left in that 2-minute window, you will perform as many reps as possible of a dumbbell squat. Rest 2 minutes between rounds. Your score for this workout is the total number of dumbbell squat reps from all 5 of those rounds combined, with the goal of 80 to 120 reps. The shift version of this workout is 7 rounds. Each round starts with 30 seconds of low jumps or low jump overs, 30 seconds of a dumbbell push press, and then 1 minute of max reps air squat. Rest 1 minute between rounds. You have 3 scores for this workout. It's gonna be the total number of reps for each movement. For the low jumps or jump overs, we're looking for 50 to 75 reps. For the push press, we're looking at 70 to 105 reps. And for the air squats, 125 reps to 175 reps.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the 2025 Vault, week number 6. DH and I are gonna be getting after DILONG. He's gonna be doing program A, he's using 40s. I'm gonna be doing program B, and I'm gonna use 65.
Here y'all go. Okay, so this is Coach Alex. I'm here with Coach Chelsea.
Hi, guys.
For DILONG. And in case you didn't know, I'm filling in for DH because his wife Allie had their brand new baby girl last week, so he's enjoying those snuggles. Have you seen the pictures of her, Chelsea?
Yes.
Oh,
so
gosh.
sweet.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Right around the corner for you, Alex.
Right? All right, Chelsea. So since you have the workout under your belt already,
Yeah.
what are your first impressions? What do you want to relay
This
those people?
workout to me were written on paper, and even before I started, I was like, this is going to be all about pushing every single round, and it's going to hurt really, really bad, especially if you're willing to go for it. And I did just that. I did push hard, and it was extremely hard, and intensity was very high. Overall, I think it was a great workout, but yeah, it was super hard. And a couple things that Alex and I were talking about before, and we saw some comments about the goal. So we'll address that first, but the goal is a bit lofty, and we understand that, but it's also very doable. I know DH was able to hit inside the goal, and so was I. Actually surpassed the goal by just a few reps. And so we'll talk about some strategies and some ways that you guys can meet that goal. Alex, do you want to start with some of those?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was there. That was when we had flown into HQ for like Christmas and all that stuff. And you and me and DH were talking. We were like, dude, this goal is aggressive. Like, it's possible. It's totally possible, but you might have to make some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing would be, I would say, box jump height.
29 reps. Should have warmed up a little better.
29.
Yeah, so I don't think I warmed up very well. So out the gate, it was
20.
pretty
It's
intense.
so uncomfortable, dude. It's so uncomfortable. And anytime I see a one-to-one work to rest, it's
go for
For
it.
me, that 20 was like 20.
nice. So yeah,
We're moving on those box jumps. That's
what is it per round, Chelsea? What do you have to do per round? 16 to 24. So yeah, he was like smack dab in the middle of the target reps for that round.
So that you can go extra hard when it's time.
So yeah. So yeah, I would say we talked about it in the coach's notes, but it's like you have to be doing those box jumps in 45 seconds or less.
I don't want to go from like
And
20.
that's booking
20,
it for a lot of
and then
people.
Like 12.
For sure.
That's not the goal. So like I think with that
So-
2-minute break. give me
And the
plenty
way
of
that
time to
I would
stay
approach the
consistent.
box jumps is I would just jump onto the box, step down, and I found a really good rhythm of just moving really fast for myself. And just like Alex said, we want you guys to be able to finish those within 45 seconds or less. If that's not happening for you, and maybe you start off a little bit higher, right? In the workout, you start a little higher and you realize that's just not going to work. there is that 2-minute rest, so you guys can rely on that time to find an alternative. So whether you lower the height of your box, or maybe you find something to jump over instead of onto, that will keep you finishing those 15 reps inside of the 45-second window, because that's going to be really important.
Yeah. 20 reps. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. 20 reps.
No, you're good. I just did, So Eddie is asking if once you get the first set done, are you trying to stick with that number? Is that what you were trying to do, Chelsea? Like, was that your new target now?
Yeah, that was definitely my target. I don't think I sustained it over the overall 5 rounds. I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty sure I dropped off a little bit, and then I actually kind of on the very last couple of rounds, I think I tried to push it. I could be wrong, so I can't remember exactly what I got. But I do think in a workout like this, it would be good to see a slight drop off with each round, because that means you're really, really giving each round your effort. And it wouldn't be bad to go up either. There's not necessarily right or wrong with that, but if you fell off a couple reps with each round, that would be all right.
I was going to say, I would expect it.
Effort should be in check, right? It's like I'm still pushing hard with each round, and there should just be a natural drop off.
And reps. I noticed on your first set, I imagine you're going to do it again here, but you went straight from your 20th push press to your back rack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the kind of stuff I want to like highlight when we do these live premieres, but because, people complain about the goal, and I'm like, okay, but do you see the intensity that we're looking for? Like, this is why we have coaches demonstrate these workouts and premiere these workouts, so that you guys can see like what kind of intensity we're going for. And sometimes or a lot of times, I think customizing is a way to achieve higher intensity. People see it as like a cop-out almost, and I'm like, no, like the goal is there for you to push yourself to it, even though that might mean like making some changes. So like we said, like adjusting the box height so that you can move at a quicker pace. And then push press, obviously, I mean, unbroken. I think that's a given. I don't think you should be questioning that at all.
Yeah.
I do think, well, and you tell me, Chelsea, I feel like do your 20 push press, and I would allow for a break going into the squats, or maybe do, I don't know, like 15, 16, do your last 4 or 5 getting ready for the squats.
Okay, I don't know.
No, I think so.
Because I just counted up the whole time, but I made it to 54, so 25.
Okay, so that was kind of a tip I had for this workout. I just kept a running total in my head.
20 again, but it was like right at the 2-minute mark. I'm gonna count it though. I'm gonna count that one.
So I just kept the count going. So instead of trying to like figure out each round how many reps, I was just like, okay, I got 29. And then I just counted up from there. Obviously, you guys can do kind of what works for you, because I know for some people that is like, and you do have time in the 2-minute rest if you wanted to jot down the number you got and just started back over. So it just depends. But that worked for me. I didn't have to write it down. I just remembered and kept going from there. But then back to what Alex was saying too about the push press, like I do think, yes, that needs to be unbroken. You could probably afford a quick rest in between the push press and the squats. But I would say if you can, try to go right into those squats. The back squat, if you're using a barbell, doesn't really affect your shoulders as much. So it's just a matter of staying moving.
So high. I needed just like a couple seconds.
And then for DH using dumbbells, the way that you position your dumbbells, you can also take some of that pressure off of your shoulders too. So I think he just has his hands kind of holding one head of the dumbbell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're definitely like hanging off his back, like his shoulders. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was just talking about heart rate, and I know it's like you're moving so fast, it's hard to like think about too many things, but I would really be, when I do this, I'll do this later today with my mom, but just like breathing, like exhaling as frequently as possible to me is one way that I can kind of like help with my heart rate and my breathing rate with something like this. But yeah, I mean, you have to be pretty proficient with these movements. And like, if you're newer to this style of training, I don't know that you're going to be like, okay, I need to exhale now, like your mind's going to be elsewhere. But that's also another reason why maybe you just customize, make it a little bit more mindless so that you can just be like in a zone, you know, like in a rhythm, chipping away really quickly. So a lower box height, a lighter push press weight. And then we talked about this, Chels. This should be like, I would say last resort, but you could totally reduce the reps. Like if 20 and 20 or 20 and 16 are too many, you could go 16 and 12 or 16, 16, you know, 16, 12 if you're doing barbell, something like that. So that would be last resort. But if you really are just not having enough time to chip away at squats, that would be a great option, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. We have a question here. Would a higher number of single unders be an okay stimulus sake instead of box jumps? Yeah, I think so. I think any kind of jumping movement, if you can, I would try to find something to jump over. So that could be a low dumbbell, and maybe you're just working for a period of time. Like if you look at the shift workout, it's going to be 30 seconds of a low jump or low jump over. And I would probably recommend that. But if you wanted to do single unders and you wanted to fitness freedom, for sure. I think probably sticking with around, I don't know, Alex, what do you think? Like 50 to 75 single under reps for the
yeah, I'm trying to think what
seconds?
30, yeah, I would probably just do however many you can in 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So, because it looks like for Samantha in particular, she's 25 weeks pregnant and isn't jumping high right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great. It's a great cardiovascular stimulus. I think kettlebell swings are also a good, like even if it were just eye level, because it's still, it mimics that same like aggressive hip and knee extension. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like the same, I would say like the same like rhythm almost 17. As a box jump versus a single under where there's very little flexion in the hip and knee. I'm trying to think. I don't think the grip factor would come into play too much, especially if you kept it with eye level and didn't go overhead. It shouldn't impact your push press a ton. So that's another option. I would say like 20, 25 eye level swings.
Yeah, that would be a great one.
Yeah. It might even be a mama modification. So Samantha, I don't know if you're familiar with that feature or resource, but all of our daily workouts, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a button called mama modifications. And there's usually a great list of options. You know, they're pretty creative too. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I never would have thought to do that.
One thing too, I think is important to address is there is a 2-minute rest between each one of these intervals. And that is also a great time to relax your breathing. So like Alex was saying, like while you're moving, like, yes, that's important. But during this, anytime I do a workout with rest, I always try to think about taking big, deep breaths and just relaxing the best that I can to set myself up for success in the next round.
It's true. Even relaxing your face, like, I mean, that's a tip for me because I wear everything on my face. So I'm just like, oh, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
I even have to talk positively to myself. Because with something like this, I'm like, oh my gosh. Maybe after the third round, you're like, okay, it's going downhill again. But you just really know how much it's going to hurt.
It's mentally really hard, right? And so the best that you can do to just relax your mind and your breathing, like it all kind of works together. Yeah. Super, super important, especially workouts where you're trying to go as hard as you can in such a short amount of time. Because there's also like that pressure, right, to get a certain amount of reps. And so just stay relaxed, keep your mind calm, 1 rep at a time. Something I don't know if any of you guys have heard me talk about this, but I like to do a lot is I set really small goals for myself. So depending on a movement that I'm doing or a round that I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get through my box jump. And that's all I think about. I don't let myself think about anything else. And then once I transition, I'm like, once it comes time to transition, I'm like, keep that transition quick. I'm going to put my hands on the bar. And then I'm going to get through my push press. That's all I think about. And then it's like, I'm going to jam out a bunch of squats. So like small goals can be really helpful and not letting your mind drift away from what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Like not anticipating, like it's like you get this sense of dread and then, especially for movements that we hate, right? It's like, God, I don't want to do that again. Do you remember, Chelsea? Do you remember if the arches of your feet were on fire?
I don't know, probably, but
Because, like, I know
remember.
for me, box jumps into push press into squat, that's gonna light my arches up. So, I know for me, one of my things will be like trying to keep my weight in my heels for the push press for as long as possible. Um, and then even in the squat, because I'm pretty mobile, especially now with pregnancy. So it's easy for me, my weight to start like shifting forward into my toes. And,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so if anyone watching, if you're like that too, I would just say like box jump, you can't really get away with it, but I mean, there's nothing you can do really, you know, you're just, but yeah, that would be
15.
something I would say.
15.
Nice.
So DH got 15 reps that time. He started off at 20.
20, yeah.
But
Which is
he's at
good. I mean, he
72.
built a buffer, right?
Yeah.
15 is technically under the like per round rep target, but because he was exceeding, you know, he was like middle of the goal range for the first 3 rounds, he can afford to drop off a little bit.
40 seconds.
One other
40
thing
seconds.
too, guys, that thinking about in this workout when you're using the barbell, so this is specific to program B, is and I did talk about this, but after you come from the box jumps into the push press and you're bringing that bar into the back, you're going to be breathing hard and you're going to be really tired and you're going to be sweaty. So make sure that you're doing that safely. Okay. So we want to absorb the bar with our weight. Do it when you're ready. You know, if you're feeling unstable with your midline, just take a second to regroup and then bring the bar over and onto your back. So that's going to be really, really important, especially as you get further into the workout and the rounds go on.
Yeah, that's really smart, Chelsea. And I would say for anyone who's like timid or hasn't practiced that a lot or is just super not confident with doing that safely, if you have a sandbag, that's a great, I think, alternative. Or even if just as a way to practice, because it's a little bit safer, I would say, you know, just because it kind of molds to you. So that's always something that's a good option, is to do a sandbag back squat.
2, 1, go.
Alex, we got another question.
Yeah. You know, Eddie, gosh, that would be a whole different level of difficulty. I don't know that I would recommend that unless you were like hyper mobile. For me, it's more of just a cognition. It's more of just like me deciding and paying attention to that and deciding to shift my weight back into my heels. I don't know that I would recommend it to anyone unless, yeah, they were like hyper mobile through their ankles and literally could not like create that tension or create that shift in their weight with like mentally. Because I think for a lot of people, it really is just a matter of attention, right? When you agree, Chelsea,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
toes up on a change plate is like, woof.
I think generally speaking, I would probably try to get people to just pay attention to where their weight is and really focus on correcting it.
Sure.
That's ultimately going to be the bigger change over a long period of time, is they have to be aware of it and make the change that way.
Yeah.
But
And
like
then
Alex
the
was
opposite
saying,
is true if it's, you know, if you have limited ankle mobility, then propping your heels up, that actually would be something I would recommend for sure. If you have trouble getting to depth because your ankles won't allow your shins to like travel forward or your knees to travel forward, that would be good. All right, so this is the last round. Y'all are just burning it down right now.
So just send it on the last round. Don't do what I did and look at the clock. Just
I know,
Just
DH put
own
the
it.
dumbbells down.
Oh my
I'm like,
God,
no!
G, how many longer? I hate when I do that, but it is so hard to not look. You're just like, oh my God. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Oh,
It
man,
hurt.
just
It hurt
absolute
bad.
Pain cave. That's the thing, you know, it's like the goal isn't, sometimes it's like you're gonna have to want it, you know, and it's gonna hurt to get it. And we're not ashamed to make it like that sometimes, you know. Sometimes
Yeah.
our goals are generous and sometimes they're not. They're not forgiving at all. So
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely one of them.
And then just
And
remember,
it's fine for y'all to be upset about it.
yeah,
too.
it is just a goal at the end of the day. It doesn't mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you're just a few reps shy or whatever, you still put in a lot of work and you still did a great job. You showed up, you got it done. And that's probably more important than focusing on, you know, that the goal was out of reach or whatnot.
For sure. Yeah. Dang, I forget what I was gonna say.
I don't think we missed any questions.
Not through the chat. I've had it open.
Okay.
I was gonna say, for that particular, like, pushing it, like squeezing it out to the last 2 minutes, I think barbell is gonna be and sandbag is gonna be the most doable. Like, holding dumbbells at your shoulders is a whole nother animal. Like, I don't blame DH for setting the dumbbells down. I know that was just gnarly.
I do think
pain in the butt.
dumbbells can be harder to, like, even for squatting, because the weight is centered and it can just be a little bit more demanding. There's benefits and drawbacks to both versions, or doing a barbell over dumbbells and whatnot. But I do think sometimes dumbbells can be harder, especially for squatting, and then going from the push press into the squatting where you're taxing your shoulders. So,
and this would be fine if it were like, this would be one of those where, because usually I'm kind of, I'm like a stickler about whether you keep the dumbbells in your hands or just like rest them on you. And I tend to lean towards, like, if it's a front squat for barbell, like, try to keep a rack with the dumbbells, right?
Yeah.
Just because that's a little bit more similar and it keeps the weight shifted more forward versus this is back squat straight up. So, like, I would say just rest those babies.
Yeah.
Like, if you need to, like, balance them or, like, keep them from falling, great. I mean, that's
100%.
fine.
That way you can just bang out the squats as quickly as possible.
And that
but
not
I agree
be
with
as big of an issue.
Yeah, I sometimes I force myself to hold the dumbbells and let only one head of the dumbbell rest, because there is an element of that is really important. You're developing a lot of, there's a little more demand on your midline and your upper back. And so that can be good in its own way, right? But then there's a time when you just need to let the squats burn a little bit too. Just let something go.
This is a good segue, Chelsea. I don't want to skip Tuesday's workout.
Yeah.
Maybe we can come back to it. But since we're kind of using this time to talk about the week of workouts coming up, and hopefully, if anybody's watching and you guys have questions about either the vault or the workouts that we have going for us this week, you can drop them and we can answer them hopefully here. But we were talking about the strength workout. You and I both did it last week for this week. And so we were talking about the taxing your midline. So Wednesday's strength workout involves an ascending ladder of front squats and some weighted strict pull-ups for part 1. And how are the squats for you, Chels?
Okay, I was telling Alex right before we started this, but I was like, I could not believe the next day how sore my core was. Like, it was insanely sore. Like, rolling over on my bed, like, I felt it first thing in the morning, which I loved. I was like, yes, I need this in my life. Right. It's been a long time since I've done heavy front squats. Like, I haven't done heavy front squats outside of a workout in a very, very long time. Front squats have always kind of been I've never been good at them. But I loved doing it. And that was my experience with it. I followed the coach's notes, which was basically like, hey guys, we haven't front squatted heavy in a long time.
Right.
And there was a few different approaches you could have, I think, with it. You could kind of use the same weight all the way across, or if you wanted to, you could build up or down in weight because it actually descends. So there was a couple different ways. And I just kind of took the approach. I didn't use anything super heavy, but it was like moderate to heavy for me. I probably could have used a little more weight, but because I haven't done it in a while, I kind of just stuck on that moderate to heavy side, and I was still extremely sore. And then I ended up going down in weight with each set because it increased in reps, which I kind of liked. It was like a fun, different way, because normally we work up, right? That's normally what we do. So it was a fun, different approach. Cool.
So I'm glad you did it that way, because I chose to stick with the same weight across. But Chelsea, when I tell you, I was like, man, I might have bit off more than I can chew. And it really, it's not embarrassing at all. I'm just like, wow, I am so weak. Or like, I'm just so much weaker than I used to be.
Also too, like in your defense, Alex is pregnant. Okay. And
Yeah,
every time
for sure.
I've been postpartum, there are certain lifts, and the front squat is one of them, that it feels like my core, that there's nothing there. There is, but it just feels extremely weak, which is why they're good to do.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I think it was like 95. It wasn't even, but I also, I've been using dumbbells a lot, like, and I was like, yeah, Alex, like, I do weighted squats often. It's just never much more than 50 pounds total, because I'm using 25s. And yeah, because I had to like talk myself like up. I was like, man, this is hard. Yeah. And it felt like, so when I approached it, and I'm building up in weight in my warm up, and I was doing sets of 6, with that being like the starting set for the session. And I got to 6 at 95, and I was like, wow, I really, like, I could squeeze out to 12, which is like, I knew that was where the reps were going. And I was like, but this already feels like pretty tough. So that's what kind of, because I wasn't sure how I was going to approach it. I was like, maybe I will build up heavy, and then, but I knew like my core was going to get really fatigued, and maybe just sticking with the same, and then just challenging myself with more volume was going to, and especially because I did, you'll see my tip on the members' Instagram, but
I saw it. Not
when it comes up, but the pull-up variation I did really taxed my midline also. So anyway, I just thought it was a good strategy for me to just start at like a pretty moderate weight, and then just stick with it, and like just grind out those last few reps, because my set of 12 was a grind. Like after 9, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I thought it was really fun to front squat heavy again. I haven't done it in a long time. Not that I couldn't whenever I want, but
isn't that funny? Like sometimes we just have to be told, or like, it just has to be the thing for the day.
It's probably like my least favorite squatting variation, but I do think it's super valuable. I just don't do it very often.
Well, and so much of what we do, I say so much, I mean, it lends itself so well to quite a few movements that we see in the daily workouts so often. So I think it makes sense. And Coach Danny did a great job in the coach's notes of giving some options for anyone who maybe struggles with the front rack position, because we know that can be a limiting factor. And we definitely don't want it to be. Like, we'd rather you go heavier than your front rack would allow for, if that is like the line that you're walking, So like a cross arm Frankenstein's hard. Or you could even use like some straps if you have straps, or if you have like resistance bands that you can loop around and just kind of hang on to, just to allow for a more elevated like elbow position. I say go for it. Like, don't let that be what stops you from going heavy, since this is like, it's our strength focus, and we're hoping that you guys can kind of push that loading a little bit more.
Yeah. Do we want to jump back to Tuesday?
Yeah, I do kind of want to jump back. I was going to say, this might be my second most favorite workout this week.
Yeah.
But it is, it's gnarly.
It is. Now there's a few, I think there's a few ways you guys could approach this. So if you're someone who is kind of sending the workout on Monday, like I tend to try to go really hard on the vaults, and come Tuesday, sometimes I don't necessarily have the desire to go hard. So it can be a really intense workout, but it could also be kind of just move through workout. So like every part is on a 5-minute clock, right? You could just cruise the runs. And I actually think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I do think the goal is pretty generous. So if you wanted to dial things back, you could. And you could also just not necessarily pay as much attention to the goal if your desire is to just kind of move from A to B. Does that make sense?
For sure. Oh, no, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, it's true. Like, maybe if you mailed in the vault, which I just don't think most people do, but if you did, let's say you just checked a box for the vault and you wanted this to be like your go hard day, then yeah, I would say the goal still allows for like some pretty fast pace, like 12 double press per minute after a hard run. That's booking it. Especially because there's no rest. There's no rest built in, right?
Yeah. One other tip for this workout too is like, it's kind of, think of it as like an AMRAP. So it's not, you don't want to go too hard just because it says 0 to 5, right? Like you still have 15 minutes you have to stay moving the entire time with. Yeah. It's one of those you have to like, you can't, I mean, you could peacock it obviously, but yeah, you would pay for it. I think if you really, this one. So for me, and then Samantha, who's still on with us, she misses double press. So this one she's asking if she could do them elevated. And I don't ever recommend like a weighted movement, just because the dumbbells could like shift forward, like on a box or something. Like, I just don't think that that's prudent. Trying to think what another option would be that would allow for her to keep the weight. I mean, it could be, Samantha, if you're willing. I don't know how you feel about going into a plank position, but it could be like a no push-up double press, so that you're still getting the benefit of, you know, jumping or stepping your feet back and forth and then bringing the dumbbells overhead. That could be an option, especially if, knowing that we have burpees in the last part, if you did a burpee variation that allowed for you to keep pressing. So like that could be an elevated push-up or an elevated burpee because there's no weight involved. So I would say that would probably be great, because then you still get that pressing from the burpees, and then you can allow for the double press to be like just that up down stimulus with the weights in your hands. Yeah. So she says she can, and I'm the same way, you know, because I was looking at this one. So what I was going to say is, when I approach this, I'm going to most likely bike and just cap it at 2 minutes for me, because right now I'm not hitting 22 calories in 2 minutes. So, and running is like, I can do it, but my abdomen gets pretty weak pretty quickly. And yeah, I'm just going to move slowly, honestly. Like, I'm just going to move slow through the double press and through the burpees. Yeah.
And be fine with it. Like, I don't know. Some days it's just doing it.
Some days, it's just showing up. And I think there, too, I don't know if you could try lowering down. Are you with her hands on the dumbbells? You know, that may not work though.
I know, that's what I'm like. I don't know how you're feeling, Samantha. So I am going to do double press from the floor, but it's going to be, I guess, like a labored, you know, it's like,
it's slower.
I step my feet back. I drop my knees, you know,
more controlled.
It's a controlled push up coming back from so it's just going to be slower, but it still allows me to do the movement. And I'll probably lower the dumbbell weights too, just so that that's not the thing that's limiting me. So I can push my pace as much as just a slower, like, negative will allow for. But yeah, I'm really stoked about that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that one.
Did you have anything else you want to talk about that, or can we jump to Thursday?
Yeah, let's jump to Thursday.
So this is cool. I like what you were saying about this one, Chelsea, especially, I think it's for time, right? Like, we have a time goal. So it's definitely one where you could push the pace. And if you did do Wednesday's strength, and that's kind of like a more, like, I say lower intensity. I don't mean it in that way. I mean it like, because this gets pretty intense. It's just, there's a lot of rest, you know, it's a different kind of intensity. So if you had a slower day on Wednesday and you were looking to push, like, this is a perfect chance for that. If not, though, you were kind of saying you could treat it as like a for quality, you know?
Yeah, do it for quality. You could go through the round maybe at a harder pace and then rest at the end, or you could just do the whole thing kind of moving at your own pace. I think and honestly too, like say that you didn't do Wednesday's workout and you kind of wanted to use some heavier kettlebells or dumbbells, whatever you decide to use, you could do that, kind of treat it like a kettlebell dumbbell strength. There's a lot of different ways that you could approach it depending on how you're feeling from the week, and also like what you want to get out of that workout.
Yeah, you know, a strategy I'll use sometimes is like, okay, so the time goal for that one's 13 to 18 minutes. So I'll just like split the difference. Maybe that's, I don't know, like 15, 16 minute AMRAP, and just move through it, like, and get, I mean, however many rounds I get in that time, but it's just kind of best of both worlds. So, or even if I'm like pressed for time maybe, and I'm like, I know I have 15 minutes, let me just like commit to that, and whatever I get.
Yeah. Like a cool
like
way
one,
that I could see approaching that 6-round workout on Thursday. It changes quite a bit for Program C, but to change it to more of like a kettlebell style workout, and this is kind of assuming you guys might have a variety of different weights, because if you don't, then it might not necessarily apply. But the overhead kettlebell swing, like one thing I like to do sometimes is use a heavier kettlebell and just do a Russian swing. So that would just be like an eye level swing is what we typically call that. And then for the overhead lunge, you know, you could still do the overhead lunge, or if you're like, hey, I just kind of want to go heavy in the front rack, it's like you could put a kettlebell or dumbbell in the front rack position and just do the alternating lunge that way versus overhead. And then that would kind of turn it into more of like maybe one of our kettlebell sessions that we have. So that's just another way that you guys could approach it, depending on how you're feeling and what sounds fun to you.
Dude, you know, it would be gnarly. I was just thinking if it was 12 single arm, like, hang clean.
I know, I was thinking that too. Or
and
snatches.
Then going into, or snatches, you're right. Yeah, well, yeah, I was thinking of the front rack. Yeah. But yeah, if you wanted to keep everything like under, like, to shoulder level, it could be like to clean, to the, like, resting in the crook of your elbow lunge. Dude, that would be so gnarly. Or like you said, like just snatch. Actually, so, like Carlene will have to do that probably with her wrist injury right now. So she'll probably do like a snatch into an overhead lunge.
12 kettlebell swings on your, you know, right arm, right into 12 lunges, and then switch. Do the same thing on your left.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Some different ways that you guys can kind of, and obviously you can pretty much do, I mean, a kettlebell clean is a little different from a dumbbell, single arm dumbbell clean, but they're somewhat similar.
Yeah. I like that. I was going to say the only thing I recommend, because an overhead lunge requires a good bit of shoulder flexibility, like literally being able to achieve that range of motion, but then also stability, obviously. So it's great for developing stability, but if your shoulders are really tight and you can't get into that position, then it's an opportunity that you miss. So definitely warm up, stretch. I think just the maintenance, there's a full body warm up suggested for that day. So for those of you with tight shoulders, I highly recommend, even if that's all you do, just like turn the maintenance warm up video on, follow through it, and then get going. I think it's like 11 minutes, 12 minutes maybe. But I think you can
use different weights. So like if you wanted to use something a little heavier, and like maybe what you're holding over your head is just literally your water bottle or your shaker bottle, whatever. Because you're just working on like fighting for those positions.
For sure. That's a good point. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to stay on for like 5 more minutes. So let's, so Friday we have a CrossFit benchmark workout. You don't see those often in street parking dailies.
No.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And there's also Valentine's Day. Yeah. So there's a little team version on Friday. There's also one on Saturday still, but you guys can get after that one too. And
I actually it's I think everyone should have it in their trophy case now, but there's a badge to earn if you do it before. You have to do it and log it before Sunday midnight Pacific time. So are you going to do it with Chris?
I don't know. Maybe.
Nice.
He doesn't really like to work out with me. So if I can get into it.
Josh doesn't either, really.
Not every once in a while. He'll do a partner workout with me, but it's not his favorite thing in the world.
No. I think I can convince Josh to do it with me. I was telling you before, because we were like, what if someone wanted to make this harder? I was like, dude, just do more rounds. I was like, in his prime, Josh was doing 30 round Cindy's. I'm like, that's just, That's a 45-second round.
So many reps. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cindy is 20 minutes, 5 kipping pull-ups. Nelson's tagging Chris. 10 push-ups, 15 squats. I mean, I know I don't know. Would you say the push-ups are the worst part of this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cindy
sure.
is like, to me, it's like a push-up workout, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
think it gets everybody at some point.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
even too, I was thinking you guys could turn this into a Glory Days version if that's what you're up for. You can do a little something like bar muscle ups for the kipping pull-ups, or if you're a chest to bar, you like those, you can do chest to bar pull-ups, push-ups. Those are kind of is what it is. I mean, if you wanted to take on a handstand push-up, you could throw that in there too.
Yeah.
And then air squats. You guys can always do alternating single leg squats. So just you can find a way to kind of get creative and turn it into a Glory Days version.
For sure.
But yeah. Cindy's
Yeah, and I'll probably do inverted rows and elevated push-ups. Honestly, even if I weren't pregnant, I mean, I would do pull-ups, but I would probably do elevated push-ups even if I weren't pregnant, just because it's the limiting factor for me. So that just that would let me do like 6 and 4 consistently from the start. Because if I went for my toes, I would be dropping to like 3, 3, 2, 2, like so quickly.
Well, and I probably will, like, so if I could get Chris to do this workout with me, my strategy would be to try to do 10 reps for as many rounds as I can.
For sure.
Just because it's
because you get some rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 15 rounds. I'm pretty sure I can handle 15 rounds pretty well. I know exactly how many rounds I'm going to get, where the AMRAP is a little different in that sense where I don't know. And I probably actually would break the push-ups from the start. I would either do 5 and 5, and then I might even go 4, 3, 3. But if I do that, it's like I'm breaking intentionally and I'm keeping my rests really short. So coming all the way off my hands and then right back and just kind of finding a rhythm of like chipping away, because those will get hard. So I would definitely recommend, if you're planning on doing the program A version of that, break them early.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I mean like I would have to break that often. It wouldn't be like a deliberate choice.
Yeah.
And I think I would be resting too long. So
yes.
But I agree. Break early, break often, like no questions asked. And for anyone, hoping to do Murph Memorial Day, Murph is just, for many people, it becomes like Cindy, like Cindy with a mile on either side. Yeah. So for anyone who like is hoping to do Murph, just know this is a fantastic way to like get you on your way to like prepping for it. Yeah. Cool. And then the last few minutes, we'll just talk about Saturday. Saturday is where we have our strength focus version this week. It's quite different from ABC and team. So we have, it's a complex 9 deadlifts into 6 hang power cleans into 3 jerks. I think I demoed this one and I think I did split jerks. I was like, I haven't done a split jerk in a minute.
It's kind of fun. I know. I saw that. I was like, hey, that's fun.
Yeah.
Which when you guys are doing this one, you'll want to keep it. I would imagine that push jerk is going to be a lot of people's like limiting factor.
Yeah.
So like choosing your, weight based around that. It does have to be unbroken though. So.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. And that's why there's rest. You have to rest as needed to like both go heavy for the complex, but then also prioritize going unbroken. And I did say that in the tip for the demo, like for most people, it's the shoulder to overhead that's going to be the limiter. But those 6 power cleans, the hang power cleans are going to I think they're going to sneak up on people. Yeah, no, like for sure. It's going to be like, oh,
well, especially
shoot.
After the deadlifts, like if you're going heavier and heavier than you're used to, you're going to experience some different fatigue than you might not normally feel.
For sure. And I talked about, like using hook grip. That's a given, I think.
Yeah.
Because that bar is just going to want to come flying out your hands pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then we have a descending and then an ascending chipper of deadlifts, hang power cleans, push press for ABC. Same reps across the board, dumbbell, barbell, sandbag. This is my favorite workout of the week, by the way. I don't know if I told you, but this is my favorite. I'm really stoked.
Looks fun. Yeah.
And you can really I just think you can really kind of burn it down.
You can.
Yeah.
And the goal is on the shorter side.
It is.
So that's the intention, is that we kind of want you guys to really push and go for it. It's the end of the week, so it might be a little harder to kind of muster up that energy, but we want you guys to push hard for this one.
Yeah.
And you do get a 3-minute rest between. That's a fair amount of time to recover and go again hard.
I think so. It's giving
And
like
then-
DT vibes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then one other thing about this workout too. So we've talked about this a few times on all the different platforms, but if you guys are interested in doing Wednesdays, optional accessory, but you're doing Wednesday's workout and you're like, I don't have time to do that right now. This, I think, would probably be the best day to plug it in because the workout's on the shorter side. So it just will allow for a little bit more time to plug something extra. And then I think that the accessory just pairs really well with this workout. So if that's something you want to do, this would be a good day to throw it in.
For sure. Did you see Caitlin's comment?
What does that mean?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we haven't talked about the Super Bowl at all. No, Kendrick Lamar performed at the halftime show.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The DJ's DJ Mustard.
Yeah.
I know, and now we capped out. I want to talk about the Super Bowl, but we don't have time, so. Cool. All right, well, that was fun, Chelsea.
Cool.
Yeah,
I hope everybody has a good week.
Yeah, same.
Have fun with the workouts.
Yeah, and good luck on DILONG. I hope everybody just lights their hair on fire and gets the goal, 80 to 120.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Well, we'll be good.
See
All right,
y'all
guys.
around. Bye.
Ready? Oh,
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the vault.
Okay. Fine. My heart rate was just like so high.